Was Cao Cao a tyrant or a white knight? For centuries, Chinese scholars have debated the true nature of Cao Cao, one of the most prominent leaders in the asterisk romance of the Three Kingdoms. Was he a tyrant, or was he a white knight who merely did what was necessary? One famous tale from the romance of the Three Kingdoms highlights this question. After Emperor Ling of Han passed away, Dong Zhuo seized control of the imperial court, deposing Emperor Shao and placing Emperor Xian, also known as Liu Zi, on the throne. Dong Zhuo's actions enraged many court officials and military leaders. At a gathering hosted by Wang Yun, the conversation turned to Dong Zhuo's usurpation. The officials were so distressed that they began to weep. Cao Cao, however, interrupted the sorrowful atmosphere with a bold statement. You can cry from dusk till dawn and from daylight till nightfall, but your tears will not bring about Dong Zhuo's death. A voice from the crowd asked, "Do you have a plan?" Cao Cao responded, "I have stayed close to Dong Zhuo, pretending to be his ally, but my true intention is to seize an opportunity to end his tyranny. Dong Zhuo trusts me, and I can get close to him. I know that Wang Yun has a precious sword. If you lend it to me, I will kill Dong Zhuo. Even if I die in the attempt, it will be worth it." The next day, armed with the sword, Cao Cao went to Dong Zhuo's residence. Dong Zhuo was in a small pavilion with Lu Bu by his side. When Cao Cao arrived, Dong Zhuo questioned his lateness. "My horse delayed me," Cao Cao explained. Dong Zhuo, sensing an opportunity to show his generosity, ordered Lu Bu, "We have many fine horses from Ziliang. Choose the best one for Cao Cao." Lu Bu complied and left to select a horse. As Dong Zhuo lay down to rest, Cao Cao thought to himself, "This tyrant deserves to die." He prepared to draw the sword, but hesitated, fearing that Dong Zhuo was still strong enough to overpower him. Just as Cao Cao was about to strike, Dong Zhuo caught a glimpse of his reflection in a nearby mirror and saw Cao Cao drawing the sword. He quickly turned and asked, "What are you doing?" At that moment, Lu Bu returned with the horse. Startled and sweating, Cao Cao knelt and offered the sword to Dong Zhuo with both hands, saying, "I wanted to present this precious sword to you, my lord." Dong Zhuo accepted the sword, admiring its craftsmanship. The sword was over a foot long, adorned with jewels, and incredibly sharp, truly a rare treasure. He handed it to Lu Bu for safekeeping, along with the scabbard. Afterward, Dong Zhuo took Cao Cao outside to examine the horse. Cao Cao, expressing his gratitude, asked to take the horse for a test ride. Dong Zhuo agreed and had the saddle prepared. Once on the horse, Cao Cao swiftly rode away, heading southeast at full speed. As Cao Cao disappeared from sight, Lu Bu remarked to Dong Zhuo, "When I arrived, Cao Cao appeared as though he was about to assassinate you, but when his plan failed, he pretended to present the sword as a gift." Dong Zhuo agreed, "I had my suspicions." Advisor Liu Yu suggested, "Cao Cao lives alone. You should send men to bring him back." Soon after, a report came that Cao Cao had not returned home but had ridden eastward instead. Dong Zhuo was then convinced that Cao Cao had indeed intended to kill him. This story illustrates Cao Cao's unmatched cunning and resourcefulness. Despite the brilliance of Liu Bei's advisors like Zhu Ziliang and the courage of his generals Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, and Zhao Yun, and despite Sun Quan's strategic position and talented supporter Zhou Yu, it was Cao Cao's faction that ultimately triumphed. In political struggles, no matter the era, the rule is simple: victory makes you a ruler. Defeat makes you a rebel. The debate over who was good or evil has long since faded into history. Was Cao Cao a tyrant or a protector of the empire? Cao Cao's rise began during a time of great chaos. The Han dynasty was crumbling, and China was divided among various warlords, each vying for control. In such a chaotic environment, power often shifted quickly, and those who could seize opportunities were the ones who survived and thrived. Some see Cao Cao's actions as those of a power-hungry tyrant. He seized control of the emperor and used him as a puppet to legitimize his own rule. By controlling the emperor, Cao Cao effectively ruled the empire, even though he was not officially the emperor himself. This move is seen by some as a calculated attempt to eventually replace the Han dynasty with his own family. Others argue that Cao Cao's actions were necessary to stabilize the empire. The Han dynasty was weak, and the central government had lost much of its power. By taking control, Cao Cao was able to restore some level of order and prevent the complete collapse of the empire. From this perspective, Cao Cao's centralization of power was a pragmatic decision made in the best interest of the country. Cao Cao was also a formidable military leader, and his campaigns against rival warlords played a significant role in his rise to power. However, his methods were often ruthless, leading to further debate about his true nature. Critics of Cao Cao point to his ruthless tactics as evidence of his tyrannical nature. One of the most infamous incidents occurred during the Battle of Xuzhou, where Cao Cao ordered the massacre of civilians in retaliation for the death of his father. This act of vengeance shocked many and contributed to the image of Cao Cao as a cruel and heartless leader. On the other hand, supporters argue that Cao Cao's military campaigns were necessary to unify a divided land. The various warlords were constantly at war, causing immense suffering for the people. Cao Cao believed that by defeating his rivals and bringing the country under one rule, he could bring peace and stability to the land. His ruthlessness, then, was seen as a necessary evil to achieve a greater good. Cao Cao's relationship with the emperor. The puppet master. For those who view Cao Cao as a tyrant, his treatment of the emperor is perhaps the most damning evidence. Cao Cao kept Emperor Xian under his control, using him to issue decrees that legitimized his actions. Although Cao Cao never declared himself emperor, his control over the throne gave him virtually all the power of one. This manipulation of the emperor is seen as a clear sign of Cao Cao's ambitions to eventually seize the throne for himself. The loyal protector, however, others argue that Cao Cao's actions were those of a loyal protector of the Han dynasty. Despite his power, Cao Cao never overthrew the emperor or declared himself the new ruler. Instead, he maintained the appearance of loyalty, even as he wielded the real power behind the scenes. Some believe that Cao Cao genuinely saw himself as a guardian of the Han dynasty, using the emperor to maintain the legitimacy of his rule while working to restore order to the empire. Cao Cao's story reminds us that history is often not black and white. Leaders, especially in times of crisis, must navigate a complex landscape of morality, power, and survival. Cao Cao's life and actions reflect the difficult choices that leaders must make and the fine line between heroism and villainy. What if Cao Cao had killed the emperor? If Cao Cao had killed the emperor, it would have created a massive power vacuum. The Han dynasty, which had ruled China for over 400 years, was already hanging by a thread. The emperor was a symbol of legitimacy, even though real power had long since shifted to the warlords. By killing the emperor, Cao Cao would have removed the last vestige of the Han dynasty, leaving the throne empty and the question of who should rule China open to fierce competition. Cao Cao's position, with the emperor dead, Cao Cao would likely have faced immediate backlash. While he was powerful, many other warlords and officials were still loyal to the idea of the Han dynasty. Killing the emperor would have made Cao Cao appear as a usurper, someone who had crossed a line that even his allies might not forgive. This could have led to a rebellion against him, with former allies turning into enemies. Other warlords like Liu Bei and Sun Quan, who were already wary of Cao Cao's power, would have seized the opportunity to rally support against him. Liu Bei, in particular, who claimed to be a descendant of the Han royal family, would likely have declared himself the rightful heir to the throne. Sun Quan, ruling in the south, might have done the same, leading to multiple claims to the imperial title. The battle for the throne. Who would become emperor? Cao Cao declares himself emperor. One possibility is that Cao Cao, having killed the emperor, would have declared himself the new emperor. However, this would not have been an easy path. The other warlords and the people of China might have resisted this move, seeing it as the ultimate act of betrayal. Cao Cao would have needed to crush all opposition to secure his rule, leading to even more bloodshed and chaos. Liu Bei claims the throne. Another possibility is that Liu Bei, with his connection to the Han royal family, would have declared himself emperor in response to Cao Cao's actions. Liu Bei was known for his sense of righteousness and loyalty to the Han dynasty. By positioning himself as the rightful heir, he could have rallied support from those who opposed Cao Cao. This could have led to a direct conflict between Liu Bei and Cao Cao, with the winner becoming the new ruler of China. Sun Quan's bid for power. Sun Quan, who ruled in the south, might have also seen the opportunity to claim the throne. With the north and central China in chaos, Sun Quan could have solidified his power base and declared himself emperor. This would have set the stage for a three-way battle between Cao Cao, Liu Bei, and Sun Quan, each vying for control of the empire. Would the three kingdoms still happen? Given the power struggles and ambitions of the time, it is likely that a period similar to the three kingdoms would still have occurred, even if Cao Cao had killed the emperor. The fragmentation of China into three rival states, Wei, Shu, and Wu, was driven by deep-seated regional differences, the ambitions of powerful warlords, and the collapse of central authority. Wei under Cao Cao or his successor. If Cao Cao had managed to secure the throne, the state of Wei would have likely emerged as the dominant power. However, maintaining control would have been a constant challenge, with ongoing rebellions and the threat of invasion from Liu Bei and Sun Quan. Shu under Liu Bei, with his claims to the Han lineage, would have continued to build his power base in the west. In what would become the state of Shu, his legitimacy would have been strengthened by the fact that he was fighting against a usurper Cao Cao who had killed the emperor. Wu under Sun Quan would have likely maintained control of the south, focusing on building a strong and independent state. His claim to the throne would have been based on his ability to protect and govern his territory effectively, rather than on a direct link to the Han dynasty. In this scenario, the three kingdoms would still have emerged, but with even more intense and bitter conflicts as each leader tried to assert their claim to the imperial title. The long-term outcome: a new dynasty. Eventually, one of the three factions would likely have emerged victorious, uniting China under a new dynasty. If Cao Cao had succeeded in defeating Liu Bei and Sun Quan, his descendants might have established a new dynasty to replace the Han. However, if Liu Bei or Sun Quan had won, a different dynasty might have been established, with a strong emphasis on legitimacy and continuity with the Han. Cao Cao's dynasty. If Cao Cao's lineage had prevailed, history might remember him as a founder of a new dynasty, much like the way the Qin dynasty was established after the Warring States period. This new dynasty would likely have been authoritarian, given Cao Cao's centralization of power, but it might also have been effective in restoring order and rebuilding the country. Liu Bei's dynasty. If Liu Bei had emerged victorious, his dynasty would have likely positioned itself as the legitimate successor to the Han dynasty. This would have been a return to a more Confucian model of governance, with an emphasis on moral leadership and the restoration of traditional values. Sun Quan's dynasty. If Sun Quan had unified China, his dynasty would have likely been more pragmatic and focused on governance and stability. Sun Quan was known for his ability to balance power and maintain control, and his dynasty might have been more regionally focused, with a strong emphasis on naval power and trade.